I said. If you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Wow, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibby.
And even no way! Oh my God! And we're back, guys. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties earlier, but welcome to part 2 of Sports Weekly here on this Wednesday night. I'm rocking the Blazers cap to honor the late, great Bill Walton. What a hero he was. But yeah, sorry about that interruption. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back now for part 2. I'm Isaiah Leong, joined by my guy, James Gonzalez. James, we had a little tech issue, but we're back now. I think everybody could have used that commercial break, which was good. But James, since you kind of came on after we talked about a lot of the stuff, I know you really wanted to get into the Bill Walton stuff. So let me have you just get into the Bill Walton stuff, and if you want, you can feel free to get into all the topics that you missed while we were on the air during part 1.
Yeah, I'll try to stay in order. When I found out he passed away, I was sad, like right away. I haven't cried yet. I think it'll come eventually, but he died of cancer at 71, and I had so many calls and messages. You even messaged me about it. And it just hurt because it's another voice I'm losing. Like, I've already lost, Chick Hearn, lost Vince Scully, and then people have retired, like Marv Albert, Dick Enberg passed away. It's like all my great voices, all the ones that I loved watching the games for, are gone. And now NBA, inside the NBA will be gone after next season. So it's like, man, it's hurting. And it's just fitting. The last Pac-12 event was the day before he died. It was USC losing to Arizona in the baseball final in Scottsdale, Arizona. And the next day he passes. It's just amazing to think that, because it's like divine intervention. But that's how much he loved the Pac-12. He was the advocate for it, the ambassador. He's the reason why I watched the Pac-12. Whenever they had college basketball, Wednesday, Thursdays, Saturdays, you knew I would rush home, or if I was home, I would watch them. I would watch, him and Dave Pasch or on ESPN, or if he was on the Pac-12 network, it was always Roxy Bernstein or I forget the other dude's name. But it was always on those two networks. And oh no, that was earlier in his days. He actually, Shambi couldn't stand Bill, and so I hate Shambi for that forever. They were at the Maui Invitational last decade sometime, and he kept going on and on and on, kind of like you do, but with takes, but with just saying random things, like telling people about volcanoes, how he loves his bike, how he loves Maui and Maui Jim and Hawaii. He loves, nature and science, English, math. He was so great in that. I know other people hated him, but those people sucked, because you learned everything from just watching a basketball game. And that's something I'm going to miss, is just having a complete everything, just a complete everything when it comes to the games, and just being entertaining. But he knew his stuff. Like, he would always say, throw the ball down court when it was late and the team had the lead and they were getting trapped or whatever. Literally, you throw the ball down court to somebody open and you beat the trap or whatever late. And he'd always say, throw it down, big man. And all these other quotes that I just loved about him. And I'm sad that I won't get that from him again. And the fact, like, the whole Pac-12 whole thing is over, I always wondered, would he come to the Big Ten whenever, they have games out here, and we'll never know. I can remember Dave asking him about that. He's like, aren't you a Big Ten guy now? He's like, who told you? I always remember that. But I'll miss him because even though he was a UCLA Bruin and a rival of USC, the whole conference loved him. And that's such a rarity that you have an ambassador of a conference. No one else has that. There's nobody in college basketball. Maybe Dick Vitale, but that's like all of college basketball, right? Bill was saying conference of champions, Pac-12. It was everything to him. And like I said, every Thursday, every Saturday, I tuned in. And I didn't watch anything else. There was probably something better on, and I never watched. I didn't care. And I hate UCLA, but I was watching all their games if Bill was there. He's a San Diego legend. Like we mentioned, Bill won, I think, 3 championships at UCLA. College Player of the Year, I think, 3 times. He went to the NBA, won 2 rings. Was a Finals MVP, regular MVP, 6th Man of the Year with Boston in '86. The interesting story, I don't know if you heard it, but the way he got into broadcasting, Isaiah, was in 1990. He was dealing with health issues, and he was just trying to buy a beer at a 7-Eleven in San Diego. The voice of the Clippers happened to be at that 7-Eleven and ran into Bill. And he asked him, what are you doing? And Bill's like, hey, I'm just trying to buy a beer. And then Ralph Lawler goes, no, what are you doing in your life? What are you doing? He's like, nothing. And he tells him, I think you could be a broadcaster. And Bill says, well, I'm a stutterer, so I don't know if I could do it. And he got a chance to work with the Clippers on local TV, later on cable TV for 13 years. He went on to, NBC, ESPN. Then he had the spine injury and then the spine surgery that helped him get back to what he loved to do, which was cycling. He loved to ride bikes. He loved to be in nature, take nature walks. He loved everything. He loved everyone. He loved nature. He loved getting high, which he got, which you don't hear. He was out there. Whether it was a political stance, he loved his music. He loved the Grateful Dead and John Fogerty and all these other great bands. Neil Young, he would talk about him during games and totally get off subject. But it was great too because it felt like somebody was watching the game with you that was not really watching the game, but he was. He would always ask these crazy questions during the games. And I'm going to miss that. And again, he was a San Diego legend at Hillix High School, winning there. He would practice with the San Diego Rockets while he was in high school. He had the keys to the high school gym where they would have their practices at. He was a San Diego Clipper. He felt like he let him down, even though it was Donald Sterling letting him down, and the injuries were crazy with Bill. I'm just going to miss all the games he did. I'm going to miss that time that we had with him just because of it was fun. It was educating. It wasn't just about the game. You learned about college campuses. You learned about rivers, lakes, monuments. You learned about animals. He'd always roar if it was a Bruin or a California bear. Make the little sounds of the animals, whether it was like a husky, woof woof woof, a duck, quack quack quack. I could go on forever, but someone who loved all that, and I'm just sad that he's gone. And there's one person who put, I think, Charles Barkley, which is my other great favorite person in the NBA or in basketball. He mentioned yesterday during inside or NBA tip off, they were honoring Bill, and they mentioned um, it was the world is less of a greater place without Bill than it was the day before when he was still around. And I truly, truly feel that. I feel like I've lost a friend, a family member, someone I could easily um, come to watch every Thursday and Sunday and just forget about everything else. I would have everybody bothering me and calling me and texting me. I would ignore the hell out of it because I didn't want to hear anything else. So I'm going to miss that. And again, I wondered how the Big Ten thing would work, and we'll never have to wonder again. I'm just sad he's gone. He had so much life. When I met him in, I think it was 21 or 22 at a concert. Um, Again, he played like drums with the Grateful Dead, and then the Grateful Dead tribute band in Carlsbad, California. I had to go see him. I heard he was at this free concert, and I was like, I gotta go see him. I gotta go meet him. I'll do anything. Like I'll do anything at all to meet him. And I did, and I still have those pictures of him, playing the drums, hanging out, talking to people. He always cared about what you said. He always cared about what you did and how it affected others. He loved others. There's no replacing someone like that. I don't think there's a human out there with the same spirit that has like sports in him. I can't think of anybody else that it was more than a game for him. And I'm gonna miss that so much. Um, my It's like I don't even want to watch any of the Pac-12 well, not Pac-12, but the Big Ten anymore since he's gone. But I will eventually. I'll get back to it when those games come back. But there's like a loss. There's a big loss now. There's a big hole. I remember one more thing. I remember my aunt meeting him, and they were talking about his wife Lori and how short she was compared to him. But they both loved the Grateful Dead. They both loved having fun. The house had all the memorabilia of everything and anything Grateful Dead and rock music and basketball. I remember the games he did with Jason Benetti, Angels White Sox game he did at the Big A in 2019. And Patrick Sandoval was giving up all those runs. And Bill was going crazy because the White Sox were winning. And I didn't care that the Angels were losing. I didn't even care. I was just so happy to have him. And the games that they did were so fun because Jason just went along with it. Jason's a great person. I know he's hurting too. Man, I feel like I lost someone that I really liked. And again, it just feels like all the voices are leaving me. And this is one that it really hurts when I heard the news and when you told me about it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like waking up to something that you all wondered what would happen. Why was he gone from the Pac-12 tournament? Why was he gone the last 2 weeks of the season? And I always feared the worst, and it happened. And finally, I get to talk about it out loud. I wasn't talking to myself all this time either. I was just thinking about the things I would say if I had an avenue to say it. It hurts, and I will miss Bill. I know Casey had some comments, and I know Casey grew up in LA, so he knows about the times with the Clippers and UCLA basketball and how much Bill meant to everyone in the area in San Diego. He loved San Diego. He loved his bike. He loved Hawaii. He loved life. He'd always say, "Thank you for your life." Thank you for your life, Bill. I can read those comments if you want for Casey, because I've always wanted a connection with anybody from LA. I it just hurts, honestly. Isaiah, if you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I had some tech issues, but yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, let me see what Casey King put on. I totally missed him.
No, no, it was definitely good to, hear you get everything you had to get off your chest about, Bill Walton, definitely um was a huge loss. I mean, like I was telling Ben earlier, James, when I heard the news that he had passed away, I was at a Taco Bell and I literally, because I was refreshing Twitter and, I was just refreshing Twitter and I was um, just there and just trying to see if Monty Williams got fired, to be honest. And all of a sudden I get a notification from Woj, and I was like, "Oh crap! Here's the notification. He got fired." And no, it's Bill Walton. He passed away, and I was like, "What?" And I was just kind of taken aback by it, and like you. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of college basketball, to be honest, but I mean, you can't miss the moments, right? Like whether it's Tim eating a cupcake with a candle in his mouth, taking off his shirt. He did something with the Oregon Duck, putting popcorn in the Oregon Duck's mouth. I mean, definitely was a great spirit and a great legend, and we'll definitely miss that. We'll miss him, for sure. And there's never going to be another Bill Walton, to be honest. Just the energy, the funny stuff, the amazing memories. Like he didn't care about what anybody said about his antics. Like, and it was genuine too. Like he would just go on and off, like you mentioned about his bike, Maui, and stuff like that. Like all these funny stories he would tell. Like when I watched college basketball games and I tuned in and Bill Walton was doing the games, I would just listen for Bill Walton's stories. Like I didn't really care about the game, no disrespect to the players, but I just wanted to see what Bill Walton did. I wanted to hear what he had to say, and it really hurts that he's gone. And yeah, I mean, it happened on Monday, I believe, and I'm still really, really shocked about it. I remember him putting on a Lakers shirt when Luke was about to make his debut for the Lakers as a head coach. Never thought I would see that in my life. But yeah, I mean, definitely a big, big loss, and it just honestly still feels surreal that he's gone. But yeah, like you mentioned, Casey said, "Good evening, all." I was traveling in the air when it was announced that Bill Walton had passed away. Even though he was a Bruin, I have great respect for this man, and he was a great broadcaster on both college and NBA games. If you guys have any Bill Walton stories that you guys want to share, feel free to just share it. I mean, this is the place where you guys can, feel free to any, Bill Walton moments, memories. Feel free to share it. We definitely want to hear it. Casey also says, I remember him broadcasting Clipper
Mm-hmm.
games with Rolf Lawler, and he and Rolf were a great duo on Clipper games. And in later years, he also did games part time in late 2000s for the Celtics in the West Coast, and also the Sacramento Kings briefly as well. Yeah, I mean, I sadly did not have a chance to watch him play. He was retired by the time I started following sports and was born. But yeah, he was an amazing broadcaster. Just such a great moments, a lot of great stories. I know he had that stutter, but he overcame it, and you know, I mean, I honestly still can't believe he's gone, James. I really can't.
Yeah, it's funny. Like there were so many stories about his stuttering, and then it's like he hasn't stopped. He never stopped talking. since he got rid of his stuttering problem. It's amazing how someone got over that so fast, like Bill. It was so cool to hear about his stories and how he was on the brink of suicide until the spinal surgery. He was on the brink of bankruptcy and losing everything, and he just started to work again and do what he loved. And I think that could be a ray of sunshine to anybody going through something. Just like, hey, just try to overcome it and think positive and be positive. And that's all he was. I don't think he was ever. I can't think of a time he was ever negative, but in a funny way, I think he was sometimes, where he would always hassle Dave Pasch about, being a fantasy basketball guy or caring about the stats too much or something like that. He would always talk about like let the game flow and let the game go, and little things like that, like Casey mentioned with Ralph Lawler. I grew up watching Lakers and Clippers in LA, just blessed, and I knew the Clippers were bad, but they were on my mom's team, so I would watch both. And Bill would harass Ralph with so many questions out of nowhere. It's like, what's the consecutive number of times that a player has done this on one night or whatever. He would just come up with these crazy questions, and Ralph would say, "Settle down, Bill." And I always remember everything. He loved Kareem, he loved Bill Russell, he loved Kevin McHale, he loved Magic Johnson, he loved Hakeem Olajuwon, he loved David Robertson, Patrick Ewing. He loved all these players, and he put them all into one. And when he played, when he was healthy with the Blazers, he was literally comparable to Jokic. Just the passing, the scoring ability, a little bit more, definitely more defensive and rebounding. He was just great in that sense. Just injuries killed him. Just
Yeah.
you would have to watch the 30 for 30 to really understand what he went through those years in Portland and all the pressure put on him. But I'm still taken back. Like, I don't want to believe it. I want to believe that he's out there on his bike. He's, going through San Diego and Balboa Park, with his bike and everybody waving at him. He's throwing up a peace sign like you see there. I'm still, I'm still shocked in a way. It's something I don't think I'll ever get over. It'll take a while, I guess. When that season comes and the whole changes conference comes, I think that'll be it. So Isaiah, let's go to one of his former teams, the Boston Celtics. You mentioned Derek White hit a game winner, that three with the 44 seconds to go. Drew Holiday had a clutch offensive rebound after Tatum missed a three-pointer and prevented the Pacers from having a possession and chance to win the game. Boston held on to win 105-102 in that game 4. They swept the Pacers, and they're back in the NBA Finals. For me, I had no doubts that the Celtics would win. I really didn't. That they wouldn't lose, that they would win the game or win the series. You got to give credit to the Pacers, but they're so young. They didn't know how to win or how to finish games. It's just one of those things that happens to a team that's not as experienced as the Celtics. And the prizes for Boston, they get a lot of time off until next Thursday, which is just wild to me. But it's time for Porzingis to come back. You got to give it up to Brown. Jaylen Brown had a great series. You can see all the admiration for him after the game, holding the conference trophy up and everybody hugging him and congratulating him, because I think the pressure has been on him more than Tatum to produce. And, of course, the Pacers, they had a great season. They went to that phony-ass in-season tournament championship. And Halliburton got hurt. He came back, which was kind of a risk right away. He missed the last 2 games of the series. But man, when they got Siakam, you thought, hey, maybe they can get to the second round. Well, they got to the third round, luckily, because the Knicks were banged up. But you just knew the Celtics having the best record overall would just go off and win. So I wasn't really shocked by that, and I I uh, I think the Celtics probably win it all. You mentioned Carl Anthony Towns. He finally busted out of his shooting slump. He had 25 yesterday. Anthony Edwards had 29 and another facial for a slam dunk. They avoided the sweep yesterday and took game 4 105-100. They sent the series back to game 5, so yay, another TNT game I get to watch, maybe the last. But I was very proud of Cat. I was very proud of Anthony Edwards. They finally had games to remember after having a series to forget. it was really crazy like that. Kyrie wasn't as devastating. Luka the same. I think it's a thing, Isaiah. If Kyrie and Luka do not get 60 or more points combined, they lose. I really feel that way. Lively again with that neck injury. We'll see how that goes. You can tell they were kind of missing him in Game 4. Was the Mavericks? It's good they got Kleber back, and sometimes trying to put him back in the lineup. Injecting him into the lineup, that could be a little off-putting. I know they're waiting for Hardaway Jr. possibly to come back. I'm not sure, but I have preview and prediction Game 5. I feel like the Mavs will take it. I don't think the Wolves will come back. I think it's 0 for 183 for teams that are down 3-0.
I think
I think
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, I
I,
heard
I don't know
somebody
the
say it.
exact number, but it sounds right.
Yeah, 0 for 184, I think it is, and um, I feel like Dallas is going to win Game 5. I think they're just going to find whatever they had and do it again. It's going to be another close game. That's one thing. The series might be 3-1, and you're thinking, oh, well, they're blowing the game. Mavericks are blowing the Timberwolves out. It's far from that. Every game has been, very close and down to the wire, except one. And, you know, what's odd to me. I heard before Game 4 that the coach of Minnesota finally made some adjustments. They only started one big. I think they started Cat and Set Gobert, and they needed less size. And I think the question was, why the hell they didn't think of that sooner? If they knew that they were losing, 2 games in a row, 3 games in a row, why didn't they do that sooner in the series? It didn't make any sense. But I think they'll go back to that, and I think Chuck said it the best. I don't think it's a series yet being 3-1, but if it's 3-2, it's definitely a series because then you go back and capture the magic in Game 6 if you win Game 5, and then Game 7, anything can happen. So, but I think Dallas will win tomorrow. Probably a really close game by like 2 points. Probably 108, 106. I'm going to go Mavs with that one. And then you mentioned here the rumors of Ty Lue. Yeah, I already mentioned that really with, they're just stuck in their ways, seem the Clippers. And they're never going to win. They're never going to do anything about that. So yeah, I'll let you take it back over with the Cleveland Cavs situation.
Yeah, James, you might have to take over as host after that topic because I can't pull up the script for some reason on my
I got
end.
it right here.
Okay, it's giving me errors for some reason.
All right.
But yeah, my thoughts on we're talking about Bickerstaff now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. So yeah, my thoughts on Bakerstaff getting fired is, it's For me, it's kind of unfortunate, just because they fired him because Donovan Mitchell and him did not have a good relationship.
Hmm.
They want to do everything in their power to keep Donovan Mitchell. I think Bickerstaff did a good job. I mean, I think that if you look at his record in Cleveland, like every year they were improving.
Hmm.
And I just feel like Bickerstaff has always gotten like the short end of the stick all the time. Like he was, after Kevin McHale was fired in Houston, he was the interim head coach. He was supposed to be elevated to the head coach position, but James Harden said, "I didn't want to play for that guy. I want to establish head coach." So that's why they hired Mike D'Antoni. And then he was the interim head coach in Memphis. David Fizdale got fired. He was the interim. And then he coached the Grizzlies. He was actually a head. They named the permanent head coach for I think 1 year, and then they made him one and done, and they fired him. And then he actually got his real opportunity in Cleveland, um, with the Cavs. And I just think like I mean they were improving. He's a really good coach. Like I think if Detroit fires Monty Williams, I think that's a guy that you got to take a look at because he's really good at building cultures. He's really good at developing young talent. And I think he's a really good coach for like a young team that's aspiring to change its fortunes and get to the playoffs. So kind of shocked, not really shocked because after the game they lost to the Celtics, there was that hit piece. Remember, like with Frank Vogel and Darvin Ham, where it came out from Shams Charania, like immediately after the game, that JB Bickerstaff is in serious trouble and this and that. He might not return, and then all of a sudden he gets fired. So I'm not surprised, but I don't think it was his fault they lost that series. I mean, there's a culture of quitting in Cleveland, James. I mean,
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell quit on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like let's call it like how we see it. He quit on the Cavs. He did not have any injuries going into that series. He played 43 minutes the game before, and then there was no limp whatsoever. And all of a sudden, there's this little hamstring injury that pops up, and then boom, he's out for the next 2 games and then they eventually lose. I mean, you're basically taking out like the only superstar of a team that doesn't have a superstar outside of him. So once he was out, they were screwed. They were done. Just like once Halliburton went down, I mean, the Pacers had Siakam and Andrew Nemhart, but the Cavs had nobody. So once he went down, they were done. So, and then Jared Allen. I mean, you talk about him getting injured during the Orlando series, refusing to take a pain injection into his ribs, and now you got teammates questioning his toughness and why he didn't come back. There's just like a level of quitting there in Cleveland, and I think that's what the new coach needs to fix. Is like, yeah, I get you're hurt, but we've seen guys play through injuries instead of sitting out, whether it's little injuries, and this is the playoffs we're talking about. So I was just very dissatisfied with the Cavs. I mean, Karis LeVert also sat out and like he played like 30 plus minutes the game
Jared Allen.
before. Jared Allen, yep, to mention that. But there's a culture of quitting there. Like they need a veteran coach that can, make those players accountable, and he needs to fix that because I just think right now, like Ben mentioned earlier in the first part of the show, your best ability is your availability, and the Cavaliers are sadly turning into the Clippers, where it's like it's load management. It's a load management factory where it doesn't matter like any game, anytime, whatever, you can just sit out when things aren't going great. So um, I'm not shocked he got fired. I just think they're trying to appease Mitchell. The choices that are linked to them right now, it's not good. Like Johnny Bryant, who's the Utah Jazz associate head coach. He was Donovan Mitchell's one of his friends in Utah, so they're going to try to interview him. James Borrego. I don't know why James Borrego is getting all these interviews. Like all of a sudden, this dude's like the hottest candidate out there, even though him and LaMelo Ball had issues. He had issues in Charlotte. Players didn't like him. So I don't know why he's one of the top options. And then Kenny Atkinson. I think Kenny Atkinson's a better fit, honestly, for a team that's trying to compete now or that's trying to develop their talent like Detroit. So I don't know why they're trying to go after him. I think the best fit for Cleveland, honestly, would be Frank Vogel because he's a guy that's won a championship, and that's what they need. They need a coach that has playoff experience that can help them take the next step.
It feels like it doesn't matter who the coach is. Um, it's all about keeping Donovan Mitchell happy. And that's what I hate about it. How the NBA is now, how the Commissioner Adam Silver has made it happen this way, where the players run everything and they have the say on everything when you really shouldn't be, because you don't have the experience. You're not a coach. The coaches should really have the final say on every single thing, or at least the management should. I don't know. I just don't really like it. We all agreed on the way Cleveland is right now. How everybody's, really just turning everything into, yeah, quitting atmosphere, saying, hey, we don't really need to play. I was waiting for Jared Allen. I think he denied a cortisone shot, and that's the reason he didn't play that Orlando series.
Yep.
Um,
He denied a cortisone shot. He was offered it. That would have allowed him to play in the playoffs against the Celtics, but he declined it, and then that's why he is getting shopped by the Cleveland Cavaliers now, because the Cav staffers are very upset at him. They don't know why he declined it, and then his teammates were also questioning him as well.
So look for him to be out on the trade market, but there'll be questions about him. Maybe he's probably a health nut like DeAndre Jordan kind of is, and where they won't do certain things to their bodies. Maybe that's a reason why. I could definitely see that. But it's just you knew the scapegoat is always the head coach. And Bickerstaff, man, I really hope he gets another job. Like I mentioned last week to you, Isaiah, I really adored his father as the coaches of Seattle and Denver. His father actually led the Nuggets in '94, 8-1 over Seattle. That was I think that was the first A seed over the number 1 seed, and his father was the one who did that with the Nuggets. So that family has a history through the NBA, as well as I believe his father also was at the University of San Diego as a head coach at an early age. So that family has great basketball roots, and I hope that he lands an assistant job somewhere at a high-profile place so he get back into, getting a head coaching job. Okay, so the combine is done, and we all knew of Bronny James. He had a great, great combine. He made all those three-pointers in a row. He ran pretty fast, whatever. Anyway, Bronny James, he's staying in the 2024 NBA draft as the deadline to withdraw has passed today, and he said no to 8 of 10 teams, but he said yes to the Lakers and Suns. Now, there's connections, of course, to the Los Angeles Lakers. His father plays for the team, and then his father in Phoenix knows the GM, James Jones. Connections? Privilege? This is what's going on with Bronny James. I watched him whenever I could, this season at USC. He averaged, I think, 5 points, maybe 5 assists, 2 rebounds. It just didn't seem like he was an NBA ready player. And, I know he's a great passer and a good defender, but there was nothing that told you that's an NBA talent. And then the crazy rumor I heard, I think you brought it up to me, was if let's just say Bronny gets drafted to the Suns, LeBron somehow will maneuver his way to Phoenix. Somehow they'll fit him in by trading whatever they can to get LeBron to play with the Sun in Phoenix. But for me, I feel like that's going to be a Laker. So what do you think about this whole Bronny situation, how he was able to stay in the draft and possibly be a first-round pick?
James, you and I have followed sports for a very long time. What the hell is going on? It seems like Armageddon has taken over the sports world. I mean, it's just bonkers what's going on. We've got just shocking news left and right, left and right. I mean, first off, like coaches getting paid like $20 million a year now,
Free
and then you
council
have,
money.
yeah, exactly. And now you got managers also in baseball getting paid like 10, $15 million a year. You got players transferring left and right. You've got guys that average 4.8 points per game in college. 4.8 points per game in college, thinking that they not only are they going to stay in the draft, but my biggest issue is he's acting so freaking spoiled. I mean, I heard
Hmm.
from Sham Sharania there were 10 teams that wanted to work him out and he turned them down, except Phoenix and LA. Like, bro, you average 4.8 points per game in college. How are you being so picky and choosy of where you're gonna go? It's like this guy's acting like he's gonna be the number one overall pick. And James, I swear, if the Lakers freaking draft him, which it would be such a typical Lakers move, this is why Rob Pelinka has ruined the Los Angeles Lakers organization. It's because we're doing stupid stuff like this. First it's going to be hiring JJ Redick, and then second it's going to be drafting Bronny James with the 17th overall pick. Like this dude, a couple weeks ago, wasn't even supposed to go like in the first round. He was supposed to be a second round pick, maybe like 55 or whatever. Now, like everybody's talking about how the rumors are that he's gonna be going in the first round. Like all of a sudden, he's going in the first round. Like I don't know, man. I've never seen a player like Bronny James who averaged 4.8 points per game in college. He did not look NBA ready. His shot was very iffy at best. How is this guy going to be not just picked in the draft, but he's going to be potentially a first round pick? And with the way things are going, he might be the number one pick. I don't know. I mean, all of a sudden we went from like he wasn't getting drafted, then it was like, oh, he's gonna be picked in the second round. Then it's gonna be he had a great combine, and all of a sudden he's a first round pick. I mean, I don't know, man. But all I'll say is this: if LeBron wants to go to Phoenix, it's very very simple. Give me Devin Booker, and you got a trade. Plain and simple. You give me Devin Booker, and you get a trade. You can go to Phoenix, play with KD, play with Bradley Beal. Give me Devin Booker and LeBron. You get to play with your son. You get to play with Kevin Durant, which you reportedly always have loved that idea before. Give me Devin Booker and we'll make it happen. But I just think it's preposterous, this idea that he could potentially be a first round pick, given he averaged 4.8 points in college. I mean, I don't understand it, James. I really don't.
It's one of those mind-boggling things that you just knew if there's connections that probably something's going to happen right for LeBron and his family. I know it's a great story. We knew of families playing together, father and son, like King Griffey and King Griffey Jr. But you never thought it would happen in the NBA. But maybe it'll happen, and LeBron will do anything for that to happen. The last NBA topic, and it's one that I've been wondering about. The Philadelphia 76ers reportedly have Paul George as their top target this offseason, with a Brandon Ingram trade as their plan B and Zach LaVine and Jimmy Butler trades as their plan C's or D's if they can't land George or Ingram, as they hunt for a star to pair with Joel Embiid and Maxey this summer. And luckily, Tyrese Maxey just absolutely balled out. Once Harden was traded to the Clippers, you knew that Maxey was that second guy, and he just went off. He had a tremendous season. I believe he was comeback most improved player of the year, or at least a candidate for that. I would have voted for him because he balled out. He should have been the All-Star if he was. I can't remember, but he was really good, and I really enjoyed watching him play, especially in the playoffs, that series against New York, while Embiid was out. But you could just tell Tobias Harris isn't doing the job. You know, he always disappears. They tried Kyle Lowry, and that wouldn't work. So they've had all these big money moves or these big little moves here go awry. and they have to figure out how to get rid of Harris and then get Paul George, which I was feared for. Um, I don't know if they could win the East like this. They would have to go through Boston and Milwaukee, but that would be something. That'd be a big three to really be scared about. The thing is, you would have to keep Cameron Payne as that point guard, hopefully. Something the Suns should have done. But what do you think about the Sixers? Who do you think they'll end up with this offseason to pair with Maxey and Embiid, Isaiah?
I think that this is going to be the craziest summer that we've seen in the NBA. James, I know the NBA Finals hasn't even been set yet, but to be honest, I'm already looking forward to the offseason because from coaches getting fired left and right, potential coaches going to other teams, and now you hear all these rumors, whether it's Zach LaVine, whether it's Jimmy Butler, whether it's LeBron, maybe, who knows? Like, we could have like so many stars on the market. Like, you remember that year, I think it was like 2017, 2018, where the NBA landscape completely shifted, right? I think we're in for one of those. You talk about all this stars that are on the rumor mill. I mean, Jimmy Butler could potentially get traded if him and the Heat don't agree to an extension. Tyler Hero reportedly wants out of the Miami Heat after Pat Riley's comments calling him fragile. You've got that situation in Phoenix. Kevin Durant, he's eligible for an extension. If he declines the extension, then what's going to happen? Donovan Mitchell, that's a situation to watch out for. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Paul George, Brandon Ingram. We could see Zach LaVine too. We could see so many stars changing teams this summer, and I'm definitely in for it. Like, I think it would definitely alter the landscape of the NBA. But about the Sixers, I think they do need to get a third star. I think Maxey is, and they've been angling for that, ever since Daryl Morey's been there. Maxey's a great player. And he's going to continue to get better. And B, the problem with him is you can't rely on him, especially his health. So you got to get another guy that's reliable to help you. And I think right now, when you look at the East, it's wide open. Miami could be losing Butler. The Knicks are always hurt. The Celtics are like that team, but let's face it, the Celtics haven't really been impressive this year. It's just that the reason why they had that easy road, it's because a lot of the teams that they played, their only star got hurt. So once they got hurt, it's like the Heat. They didn't have a chance. The Cavs, they didn't have a chance. So if you look at the East, it's wide open. Philadelphia, if they get another star, I think that they definitely could be up there with Boston in neck and neck as a favorite to win the Eastern Conference next year, especially with Milwaukee, with Doc Rivers. You never really expect much from them. Giannis, he's I don't know what the Bucks just look like a weird team. The Nets look. I don't know what their direction is. The Cavs could lose Mitchell. The Hawks might be headed for a full rebuild. Orlando is up there. Especially if they get a star, maybe like a Klay Thompson. But I still feel like they're still a couple stars away. So yeah, I think for Philly, I think that they definitely could make that boost to go from where they are right now to being one of the favorites to win the Eastern Conference. And I think if I'm Philly, if I'm Daryl Morey, I'm going to target Paul George just because he's durable. He's a 3-and-D guy. He pairs well with Maxey. He doesn't need the ball. Maxey needs the ball in his hands to be successful. So I think with Paul George, I think that'd be a great fit. You would have the shooting as well with Embiid. So I think that'd be great. And then also I think I don't know about Brandon Ingram because I think right now, if I have to make a projection, I think Brandon Ingram is going to end up in Detroit. I think that Detroit's going to overpay for him, get Langdon, his guy from New Orleans, and then they're going to overpay for him a la Blake Griffin style, and then just make him the guy that they build around. So I don't know if you're going to get him. Zach LaVine is always hurt, plus he's got that massive deal. I don't think anybody wants. It's like Bradley Beal 2.0. Jimmy Butler, I think would be a great fit, but he needs the ball in his hands, which will really disrupt Maxey as well. So for me, I would go with Paul George. I think he's the best fit for the Sixers.
And that would be something I was worrying about. Paul George has that player option, I believe, so he can go, and I could see that happening. And It would really hurt, but I think it's probably going to happen. So let's get into our MLB topic. Our team reports. You want to go first, Isaiah?
Let me ask you this: which team should I talk about on today's team reports? I'm just kidding. So let's start with the A's. I mean, listen, the A's have played pretty good baseball. This season, definitely exceeding expectations by far. Yeah, they're 23 and 34, but I mean, this team was supposed to be a team that was going to lose like 110 games. I mean, so they're on the trajectory of only losing 90, which is, a good baby step for them. So the A's, I was there against the Rockies. They actually took 2 out of 3 against the Colorado Rockies. I was at the last game, the game where it was a crazy back and forth. They went down 9-5 in the 11th inning. Mason Miller gave up 5 runs. And then in that inning, you were like, oh crap, the A's don't have a chance. But then J.J. Bleday, James, with a game tying grand slam off the
Wow.
Rockies pitcher, he ties it, and then the A's walk it off in the bottom of the 11th. I don't think the Rockies even got any outs in that inning, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, it was a great game to be a part of. I did get to talk to some of the A's players, Lucas Ursag, Mason Miller. I had a conversation with him, really cool guy. But yeah, it was a really, really fun game to be a part of. The A's after that game, they called up Miguel Andujar. And funny story about that, James, if I may share. So I worked for Alaska Airlines at the airport, and literally right when I was working at the baggage office, I noticed there were like 5 A's or 4 A's duffel bags that were there. And I was like, who is, like, it's got to be some prominent member of the A's because nobody has those kind of bags. And I looked down, and voila, it was Miguel Andujar's bags. And the crazy thing is, like, he actually went into our baggage office and I got to work with him because he was missing one of his bags. Thankfully, we were able to find it. And, really nice guy. Got to, meet him, shake his hand, even talk to him a little bit, took a picture with him. Really cool guy. He really appreciated the support that I helped him out. So, really appreciated that. But yeah, Miguel and Duhar got called up. And then we went and played the Astros. We lost 2 out of 3. Miguel Andujar actually, in his first at bat, James, had a RBI single. So your boy rubbed some magic on Miguel Andujar. And then they lost that game, but they won the second game. Mason Miller blew out the Astros 1-2-3 in the ninth, struck out the side. And they lost that series, but then they played tonight or the last yesterday night. They beat the Rays 3-0. And Duhar hit a 3-run homer. That was the only runs of the game. And then tonight they should have won that game, but the bullpen gave it up. I mean, and Duhar was responsible for 2 of the A's 3 runs. He's been a big contributor for the A's in the early going. I know they designated Tyler Nevin, your boy, for assignment, so he's probably going to be out of the organization soon. I even heard James today on A's radio. Believe it or not, the A's need some outfield help, right? Because the outfielders have been inconsistent. And one of the names one of the A's insiders threw out as a potential candidate to maybe be on this team is Mickey Moniak. You would not believe that.
Take him.
So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean the A's, like, listen, they're not going to be a playoff team, even though I predicted that. That's not going to happen. I realize that now. But they're just trying to get better. I mean, I'm worried about Geloff because he's not hitting like he did last year. He's taken a big step back. Tyler Soderstrom is very inconsistent. Max Schumann, Brett Harris, a lot of the young guys, they're very inconsistent. Like, the pitching is great, but the problem is the hitters are having the same problem a lot of guys that transition from the minors to the majors have, and that is inconsistency. And that really worries me because Geloff looked like he was really going to be good and looked like he was going to be a superstar. but it looks like sadly teams have figured him out. And he can't hit the off-speed pitches, which you need to be able to in baseball. They're attacking him left and right with that, and he's just not hitting it, and he's just striking out. He can't make the adjustments. So, yeah, it's very worrisome on that part because you want to see like your future building blocks come through and have success and be those building blocks. But a lot of them had great success to start, but now teams have film on them and they can't make the adjustment. And yeah, it really sucks. But yeah, the A's, they play after the Rays. They will play the Atlanta Braves for a 3-game series. So tough road trip to the East Coast, and they play the Mariners and the Blue Jays. So it's a very tough schedule coming up. So I don't know if we'll have a lot of wins, but we do play James's Angels at the end of June, which should be a funny story. I mean, which will be a great series. But hopefully Mickey Moniak is an A by then. Then I'll definitely work a lot of the games more at the Coliseum. But yeah, that's the report on the A's. About the Phillies, I mean, the Phillies always struggle on the West Coast for some reason. I don't know why. But they had a 3-game series against the Rockies at Coors Field. They were the hottest team in baseball. They went into Coors Field, and guess what? They lost 2 out of 3. Bullpen blew it in the first game against the Rockies. And then against the Giants, I mean, the offense besides today just didn't really hit. I mean, they had 4 runs. Pitching struggled against the Giants, which we'll talk about them coming up. But the pitching struggled in game number 1. Then they couldn't hit against the Giants bullpen. They let their former minor leaguer Spencer Howard throw 4 shutout innings in that game yesterday, and Luis Matos walked it off. But then today they won, but not before. I don't know if James, if you saw it or not, but the Giants and Phillies actually had a brawl, a benches clearing brawl. It seems like every time the Giants and Phils, they always play each other. They have some type of brawl or some type of off the field type issue. So I don't know. James, I've called the Phillies and Giants my favorite rivalry in all of baseball. Honestly, it might be a top 5 rivalry in baseball, which how these two teams always just go at it left and right. You might think I'm ludicrous, but I'm gonna put that
By
out there.
by the way, Isaiah, it was Bryce Harper who got thrown at. I think it was 8 years ago to the day that Bryce Harper and Hunter Strickland had their fight. And then you had the Giant throwing at Bryce Harper Monday, right?
No, today.
Today, yeah, it was today. So it was 8 years apart on the same day when Harper and Strickland had that little beanball incident and actual fight. This one was just like a talk, a stare, a talk. And then I
Yeah.
can't remember who it was. Rob Thompson, somebody from the coaching staff of Philly, just started shoving with Matt Williams of the Giants. And then they finally cleared it off. I want to call it a brawl, but that one 8 years ago with Harper and Strickland, now that
No, yeah.
was a brawl.
That was a brawl, yeah. But you're right. About that one, the one today. I mean, Kyle Harrison, the first pitch that he threw that Harper got pissed off. It was high and tight inside,
Mm-hmm.
but it was nothing really egregious. I mean, pitchers throw all the time inside just to get the left-handed, especially if you're a left-handed pitcher going up against a left-handed hitter. You're just trying to get him to like kind of brush him off so that he doesn't crowd the plate. And so Harper, for some reason, took offense to it. I don't know why. He yelled something at Harrison, and then for some reason, and then what's funny, James, is that Harrison he's got that like, what are you gonna do type of like gangster attitude. And then the very next pitch, he threw high and inside again, which everybody thought it hit Harper, but if you look at the replay, it
It
didn't.
didn't.
It actually hit the knob of the bat instead of Harper, so it got a foul ball. But then the very next pitch, actually, or the 2 pitches later, Harper hit a ground ball to third or ground ball to short, and the Giant shortstop threw very high. But Harper would have been safe if he was running. He was pissed off and he walked to first
Ay,
base.
ay,
So
ay.
he would have been safe. But Wilmer Flores, he was taken to the left side or the right side of the first base, and if Harper had ran, he would have been safe. But he walked. So like he was out. But yeah, I mean for the Phillies, I mean, listen, I think they're gonna be fine. For me, I'm not really concerned about the Phillies in the regular season because they always have good regular seasons. It's about what you do in the playoffs, and I'm still worried about the bullpen, James, because I mean, the bullpen. Alvarado does not seem like himself. You got some guy named Orion Corcoran. I mean, his first name
Ooh,
sounds like a frick. His first name sounds like
I remember
onion.
him.
Yeah, he's like very funky, but he's also got moments where he's good and bad. Dominguez, all right. There's hit or miss stuff with him. Jeff Hoffman, I mean, he throws hard, but the Giants were lighting him up in that last game. So, um, I think for the Phils, they're gonna be fine, but I don't care about the regular season. I care about the postseason for Philly.
Yeah, that was crazy. And when Harper was pissed and he didn't run the line, it kind of reminded me of the times where he didn't and he would get benched by Matt Williams as the Washington manager. And it's just funny how all that came to happen this series. For the Angels, yikes. After winning 4 of
Tell us
6
about
and
the Angels, James. Who's worse, the Clippers or the Angels?
the Angels, there's no doubt. They have no chance at the playoffs. They won 4 out of 6 in Texas. They, you know, won the first one, lost the second one, won the third in each series in Texas and Houston. They had Thursday off, and then they came to the Big A, and yikes. Country Weekend was just a sad pairing of songs, or a trio of songs. They faced the Guardians, who, of course, are in first place. They lost 10-4, lost 4-3, and then 5-4. Really close games, other from Friday, but Cleveland always had the bullpen, and they had the clutch hitting, unlike the Angels. I did go to Saturday's game, and it was really just Taylor Ward hitting a home run, and that was pretty much it. The same thing for Sunday. It was Adele playing better defense, in the outfield, but offensively, he's on a really, really bad hitting streak. So that was really, really bad to see. Monday was Memorial Day. They had it off. I don't get that. The Yankees were in San Diego. That's not far away from Anaheim. Why not play Memorial Day? I don't get it. The Yankees came to town on Tuesday. The Angels somehow won 4-3. They hung on to beat them. The bullpen was clutch. For the Angels, the Yankees not. They were able to keep Judge in the ballpark that day, but Soto did go off and have a home run. So that was really good to see. But let me tell you something. Patrick Sandoval has really been awful lately, and it just seems like there's Griffin Canning, there's Sandoval. Like those two can leave right away. Those two can get traded out of Anaheim. I tell you what, Tyler Anderson's pitching his way out of Anaheim via trade. Let me tell you that. It just seems like he's doing well enough that someone would want him on a trade. But yeah, the Angels did lose tonight 2-1 to New York. It was a pitcher's duel. Heel for the Yankees got the win. Anderson did pitch well, but he got the loss. He went to 5-5. Hill was amazing, but it was just enough offense for Volpe and Ohapi to have home runs. But that was it, and that's all the Yankees needed. Volpe also extending his hitting streak to 21. Verdugo hit a home run as well, and it feels like Isaiah. Odd to say, but Verdugo has found a comforting place with the Yankees out in left field there. He's in better shape, I've noticed, and he's just a better hitter there with the Yankees, other from the Red Sox. And it could have been worse, Isaiah. The Yankees left 11 on base. So it could have been a thing where it could have been a 7-1 game instead of 2-1. The Angels find themselves playing one more game tomorrow night against New York with all their fans there, of course. All the Angel fans selling their tickets to the Yankee fans. The standings go as this. The Angels in last place at 21-34. They are 1 game back of Oakland, who are in 4th place. The Angels are 9 games out of 1st place. 9 games, I believe, out of the wild card as well, if you do care. The run differential, minus 36. You're never going to win like that. By the way, the home record, yikes. Did you see the home record? The Angels at 7-20. Damn. Their away record at 500 at 14-14. When they played teams above 500 or at 500, they're 9-24. Eek. So they play the tough teams tough, but then you have a weekend like that against Cleveland. And we tried protesting against Artie Moreno, but that didn't work out. One of my friends couldn't get in from Halos in the infield because he was dressed like a clown. Go figure. So really bad times with the Angels. The schedule goes as follows after this series. No days off. Friday, they will start a series up in Seattle to face the Mariners, who are in 1st place. They're 3.5 ahead of Texas there. The Angels, after that, will go to, let's see here, as we go into June, will host the San Diego Padres and the Houston Astros before going out on the road again to Arizona and San Francisco. So that'll be fun. And by the way, you mentioned next month the A's come in, but before that, the Angels go to LA to face the Dodgers. So a tough schedule for June coming up. I don't think they can even beat Oakland in a 3-game series. And by the way, there is one game, June 26th at 1 o'clock. I may go to that if I have the day off against Oakland, because guess what? I want to see Mason Miller and them Oakland A's. I want to see if the Angels can compete with them. But with their complete depleted roster, I know Rengifo came back, but you're still missing Trout. You're still missing Silseth and Rendon and other pieces. But injuries just have derailed him. Amir Garrett is back after being DFA'd. He's back in AAA. Bullpen has done a little better for the Angels, but still, the season is already a long one. It feels like, August and September already. It's just a horrible feeling to have, honestly. All right, so you mentioned the San Francisco Giants. Well, they had a series, of course, against the Phillies this week. And let me get to this. The Giants have won 10 of their last 13 games, and the Cardinals surprisingly have won 8 of their last 12 games, including 4 straight series. It's amazing to see the Giants do that. I know the question is, who do you buy more, the Giants or the Cardinals? For me, there's more desperation with the Cardinals trying to get it together. The Giants just trying to get back Snell, and Chapman's been hot as of late. I would say the Cardinals just because their division is more attainable, but the Giants could mess around and get a wild card spot from San Diego. So that's very tough. That's a very good question. So Isaiah, who do you buy more, the Giants or the Cardinals right now?
This is a very interesting question because both teams are red hot. I don't think, James, if I had told you like last month that the Giants and Cardinals will be sitting here with Cardinals at 500 after being 9 games under 500 on May 12th, and had lost Wilson Contreras and had only 4 starting pitchers. And the Giants, who were sitting at one point, I think they were like 19-25. That they would be 1 game under or over 500. I think you would have both of us would have been like, wow, that's crazy. So I just think that for me, I've watched a lot of the Giants. The resurgence has been because their offense has waken up due to the young kids coming up like Heliot Ramos and Luis Matos, and they're getting better performances from their veterans. Matt Chapman. I mean, this dude was hitting, I think, 195 at one point in early May. Now he's hitting 245. So he's completely turned it around. He's got 8 homers. He's looking like the hitter that the Giants signed him to be, and he's still providing excellent defense at third base. You saw that play against the Mets. I mean, that slow roller where the only chance he had was to barehand pick it up. He does that, make it across the body, throw one hop to Lamont Wade, just perfect strike, just to get the Mets runner. Because if he doesn't make that play, the Mets score a run, ties the game, and we're going to it's still top of the ninth with 2 outs and the bases are loaded, and then you don't know what's going to happen. So that was a game saver for sure. And then for the Giants, just the kids. The pitching has been pretty solid. Logan Webb, the bullpen has held it together. I think the Giants, James, really need another like dependable setup man because right now, outside of Camilo Doval, like there's really nobody in that bullpen that you can say like, okay, I can rely on him to get me to the ninth or get me home with the victory if the ball is not available. That's why I think if you're the Giants, James, I got a crazy idea. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I think the Giants need to call their buddies from across the bay and trade for Mason Miller because I think that yes, I think because when you look at Mason Miller, he would solve two of the Giants' issues: starting pitcher for the future, and also a guy that's back into the bullpen that just can dominate lights out. Imagine him and Doval at the back end of that bullpen, and then you have Tyler Rogers for the seventh, and then the other guys can move down a spot and get to their appropriate places. He would help them now, and he would help them in the future because outside of Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison's kind of be mid. Who do you really have for the Giants that you can depend on in the starting rotation outside of Logan Webb for years to come, which you could do with Mason Miller if you take him out of the bullpen like you did with Jordan Hicks. So for me, it's tough because both of these two teams have been playing really good baseball. Cardinals have been resurgent due to their offense getting better. Their starting pitching has held it together, and the offense has woken up. For me, I'm gonna go with the Giants just because I feel like they're in the easier division. Like you mentioned, they can both can steal a wild card spot from the Padres. But if you look at the Giants right now, they're beating teams and I know the Cardinals beat teams that are over 500, but the Giants, when you look at what's sustainable, I think it's the Giants because the Giants have a lot of this youth infusion, which is fueling them right now. Chapman's playing better. Soler has not shown up ever since he signed with the Giants. He should start getting it going because of his track record. I think Blake Snell is going to start getting it going. The Giants have a team that I think can compete for the NL West. It's just their veterans just haven't shown up, and I expect them to start showing up soon because of the track record. So for me, I'm going to go with the Giants. I think they're more sustainable. And they're going to get guys back too. Remember, from the injuries list. I know the Cardinals are the same thing, but the Giants, Conforto's going to come back soon. And the other guys are going to come back soon. So I just think for the Cardinals, the problem with the Cardinals, it's not the talent, it's the manager. And I can trust Ollie Marmol to screw stuff up every single time. So I trust Bob Melvin over Ollie Marmol any day of the week.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Now, we had a blow up like no other we've seen in a long, long time. You talk about an explosion. Jorge Lopez, not that other one, but Jorge Lopez of the Mets, the relief pitcher, he had a bad outing against the Dodgers. I believe he had his dialogue with Ramon De Jesus at third base about an appeal call not going his way, but it was the frustration of his outing. He yells at Ramon. Ramon, of course, and his whole umpiring crew, very, very sensitive. Adrian Johnson running that, of course, and he's an idiot along with Topane on that crew. But anyway, Jorge Lopez was ejected on Wednesday night during the Mets' loss to the Dodgers. And then before leaving the field, he was yelling at all the umpires. And then he threw his glove into the stands, in which a fan caught it and kept it. It's amazing to see. He left the field, and after the game, he said, quote, I think I've been on the worst team in probably the whole quote effing quote MLB when asked about the incident. I mean, he really, really let it go, and it was a really shocking incident. It's the frustration of facing that Dodger lineup in which Shohei hit a home run, and it was just weird too because I was watching part of that game, and I guess I just missed it because Otani hit the home run, and the Dodgers were up, whatever it was, 8-1 or whatever it was, and I turned it away thinking, oh yeah, well the game's over, and I missed that moment, but it was all over, social media. But I've seen pitchers do that before, either flip off the crowd like Jake, I'm sorry, like what's his name, Jack McDowell did the Yankee fans in 1994 or 5. I can't remember what year it was. We've seen pitchers, throw their gloves away. I think someone who was, done with their career or just had a bad outing, they just threw their glove in the stand. So I've seen that done before. But for Lopez to double down like he did, like this, and call out the team, I know it's the Mets, and I know it's that LOL Mets thing, but damn it, as a professional, you are not supposed to do that. You are not supposed to say these things out loud. And yes, I know you're that mascot there, and I know you're frustrated. But then to double down on it and just say, I don't regret what I did tonight. They gave him a chance to clarify it, did a reporter, Steve Glibbs. He's part of that SNY crew, I believe. But he tried to give him a chance to clarify and confirm what he meant, what he did, and he did. So Lopez has been DFA'd by the Mets. He probably called it a blessing, I think he would say. But it was just the overall crazy situation in a game that got away from the Mets today as they finish up that series. I think there's a doubleheader in it. Probably the Dodgers took it. Anyway, Isaiah, what do you think about this whole crazy incident?
Mets gonna Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. If you had just told me about the story and you didn't mention the team he pitched for, I probably would have guessed the Mets. I mean, this type of stuff, James, literally always just hope happens to the New York Mets. I mean, like, yeah, we've seen it with Bauer doing that against the Royals, I believe, when he was a member of the Cleveland, then Indians, now Guardians. But like, the thing with the Mets is like this type of stuff always happens to them. I mean, there was one time where their old manager, Mickey Callaway, he threw a chair or something, and the owner was right there. And then he was caught on a hot mic cussing out the owner.
What?
Yeah, it was something like that. I was watching it, like I forgot what it was. Mickey Callaway was involved in some type of incident like that. The Mets under Steve Cohen, like you think it would stop, right? Like you think, okay, fine, they got a new owner, he's gonna spend money, like they're gonna be more professional, and it's literally just been a circus after a circus after a circus under Steve Cohen. So I'm not surprised that this type of stuff is going on. The Mets, they just I mean, they're like that. They're like the Dallas Cowboys of the MLB. What can go wrong will go wrong. Like things like that. Like you spend all that money for Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, just for it to blow up in your face, and they don't even last. Like for Verlander, it didn't even last half a year with the New York Mets. So, I'm not surprised. I knew he was going to get DFA'd immediately. Like I was kind of when I heard about this incident, I was like, oh my god, there's no freaking way that he actually said what he said. And when they announced that they DFA'd him, not surprised because when you throw your team under the bus like that, when you say what you say, that's an inflection on David Stearns. That's an inflection on the manager. And I know they did a team meeting after that. The Mendoza, their manager, probably just cussed out Lopez in the meeting. Just doing that. Like when he threw the glove and he said what he said, I was like, yeah, he's done. There's no
Mm-hmm.
coming back from that. There's absolutely no coming back from that. Like It reminds me of, you remember when Terry Rozier went on First Take and aired out all his dirty laundry about the Celtics when he was on the Celtics, and he was like saying like he was like saying stuff like, "Yeah, we're dysfunctional." I forgot. He like they asked him like, if Boston wants to bring you back and bring the whole group back with Kyrie and Hayward, like you want to come back? He was like, "Nope, I don't want to come back at all." So like it was like that. It reminded me of like that type of incident. I just think like. Look, he's frustrated, right? The Mets are frustrated. Like we show on that photo, things are not going well in New York City, but you got to handle your business better than that. Like you just can't do it. And I honestly would not be. I would not be shocked. Number one, if the A's take a flyer on him, because it seems like we've done that before. Like no, we've done that before. I mean, we were linked to Domingo Herman all year long. Um, like,
No,
but
Isaiah, I was just thinking Love wouldn't find a fan. He would just throw it where all the empty seats are if he was in Oakland.
yeah, exactly. Well, hey, you better not be shocked if the Angels take a flyer on him, because
Oh God.
both of our franchises are always being linked to these crappy players. I
You
mean,
know Ron
you're
Washington would not accept
no,
that.
no. I mean, bro, you didn't the Angels were linked to Manoa all off season?
I don't know, but they did
Oh.
bring in Amir Garrett, and he's been on good behavior.
They were linked to Tim Anderson too.
Oh no no no
But
no no. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, listen, I think his career. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's gonna take a flyer on him after that. I really don't. That was a bad look, and I never expected something like that from an MLB player.
That was a real shocker, but I guess it happens with the frustration, especially being on the Mets team. Again, the Dodgers being such a potent lineup. All right, so
James, I
yeah,
hate to cut you off, but he actually gave up the home run to Shohei. From
that's
what
what I
I,
thought.
yeah, he gave up the home run to Shohei, and then on the very next batter, when Freeman came up and checked that swing, that's I think when he disagreed with the umpire that he did not swing, and that's when all the crap happened.
All right, so let's get into our NFL topic here. So the schedule came out, and of course, we are looking at the big games. And Isaiah, I guess I'll start with you here. Now, this is for the top 5 games you're looking forward to for the NFL season. I'm hoping they don't disappoint.
They won't. First, I'm going to do the top 5 49ers games that I'm looking forward to, because I don't want to put them in the list of games that I'm looking forward to, because I don't want to be biased. So if I'm going to do the top 5 49ers games for 2024 that I'm looking forward to, let's go from 5 to 1, right? 5 being nah, and then 1 being like the best of the best. So for me, um, number 5 on this list is, I'm going to go with opening day. Jets versus 49ers. Aaron Rodgers coming back from injury, torn Achilles, facing Brock Purdy on Monday Night Football to start the season. Two great quarterbacks going at it. Robert Saleh facing his former team, returning back to San Francisco. The Jets have a lot of 49ers former players, so that's going to be interesting. I think that's going to be a great matchup. I can't wait to watch it on Monday Night Football. I can't wait to see what Rodgers does. Can't wait to see what Brock Purdy does. How does he do against a really, really good offense? I mean, a really good defense. So that's going to be fun to watch. Jets versus the 49ers. Number 4 on my list, I'm going to go with 49ers Packers from Lambeau, November the 24th, 2024. It's going to be cold there. It's going to be raucous. Brock Purdy's played in a lot of good environments, but he hasn't played in an environment like the Green Bay Packers. Lambeau Field, where it's cold, it might be snowing that day. It's a different beast of an environment. So I want to see how he does there. Plus, these two teams play each other very well. Jordan Love and the Packers came close to beating the Niners in the NFC divisional round at Levi Stadium earlier. So that's going to be a fun game. Number 3 on the list, gotta go with, I definitely got to go with the Seahawks, 49ers at Seahawks on October the 10th, 2024. Niners and Seahawks, that's a great rivalry. Tempers always flare when those two teams play each other. Seahawks have a new coach in Mike McDonald, who has owned Kyle Shanahan in the limited time that they've matched up against each other. So it might be like a Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh type of a rivalry when it comes to the coaches. So that's going to be a great matchup. Plus, it's in Seattle. It's a night. It's in Seattle. It's a night game. Al Michaels, Kirk Herbstreit, two of my favorite broadcasters. I know, James, we talked about broadcasters with Bill Walton. Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels, you got to put them up there in the upper echelon of broadcasting duels. Those two are my favorite to listen to, but those two guys calling that game at Lumen Field. It's going to be loud. It might be rainy. It's going to be fun to watch Shanahan match wits up against Mike McDaniel. That's number 3. Number 2 on my list. I'm going to go with the 49ers against the Buffalo Bills December the 1st. They play Green Bay at Lambeau Field on November 24th, and then they turn around and play at Buffalo on December the 1st. It's going to be cold. It's going to be snowing. Sunday Night Football. Josh Allen versus Brock Purdy, two great offenses going at it. It should be fun and dynamic. Might be a Super Bowl preview, to be honest, with that game if everybody's healthy. And then number 1, I mean, even though they kicked our butt in the Super Bowl, I got to put this as number 1. I'd be absolutely blasphemous not to put this at number 1, and that is the Super Bowl rematch, Niners-Chiefs from Levi's on October the 20th, Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes, Kyle Shanahan versus Andy Reid. Niners hate the Chiefs, Chiefs hate the Niners. That's definitely going to be a fun game to watch, and it's definitely going to be a very telling sign of the season because those two teams could be. I looked at the Niners schedule, James. The Niners could be 5-0 going into that game against the Chiefs. So because they play the Jets, they play the Vikings, they play the Rams, and they play the Patriots before that game. So they could be 4-0 actually, or 5-0 actually, yeah, before that game, and it's gonna be like it's gonna be they could be 5-0, yeah. Oh no, they play the Cardinals before that game, so they could be 5-0 before that game. It's gonna be definitely fun to see if the Niners can conquer the demons and beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs finally, as they're I think 0-4 under Kyle Shanahan against the Chiefs. So those are the Niner games I'm looking forward to. Let's go with the other games that are not Niner games that I'm looking forward to on the schedule. Let's go with number 5. We're going to do 5 all the way down to 1, 5 being 1 being, pretty good, or 1 being the best of the best. Number 5 on this list, James, I'm going to go, believe it or not, with the Broncos at the Saints. And you're wondering, what? Why are you going Broncos at Saints? These two teams, the Saints are going to be mid. Maybe Derek Carr has a bounce back year. Who knows? Broncos, Bo Nix. Like, what? You know why? It's because it's Sean Payton versus his former team. Sean Payton was there in New Orleans for so long. It's going to be interesting to see him going back to New Orleans for the first time since he left there. He won a Super Bowl there, so it's definitely going to be very emotional. I can't wait to see Bo Nix play against that Saints ferocious defense. See how Derek Carr plays against the Broncos. That game is actually, James, believe it or not, that game's going to be on Thursday Night Football. So that's going to be a great environment. Can't wait to see that game. Number 4 on my list, Jets and Bills, James. The Jets just got Tariq Cohen on a 1-year deal, adds another weapon for Aaron Rodgers. But the Jets and the Bills, this was supposed to be the best, one of the best games of last season, but it got marred by Aaron Rodgers' Achilles injury. But now we will be able to see it when the Jets play the Buffalo Bills after they play the Vikings and the Broncos and the Patriots. If the schedule holds right, they could potentially be either 4-2 or 5-1 going into that game. October the 14th, Sunday Night Football, Bills at Jets. The Meadowlands is going to be crazy. Aaron Rodgers wants to rewrite that story of that game, so that's going to be fun. Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen. I want to see that. And then also they play each other on December the 29th, 2024 in Buffalo. I want to see how Aaron Rodgers does in a cold, snowy environment. What was that? 4, right?
Yeah.
4. Okay. Number 3 on this list, it's actually the game on December the 15th, Jets at Jaguars. Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Jags improved their team a lot. That should definitely be a fun game between those two teams if Aaron Rodgers doesn't get hurt and the Jets are playing up to their potential. It's going to be a matchup of two teams that could be either division leaders or definitely a playoff preview between those two teams in Jacksonville. So that's my number 3. Number 2 on this list, I'm gonna go with Chiefs at Chiefs and Bills. You get a classic every time those two teams play each other. Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, they never ever disappoint. And then damn it, I was gonna say Chiefs Niners because that's the Super Bowl rematch for my number 1, but I already did my Niner game, so I can't put that as my number 1. Oh man, for my number 1, James, ooh, for my number 1, oh man, there's a lot of good games. James, I can't do the Niners, which sucks. So for my number 1 game, you know what? I'm gonna go with this: Ravens Chargers on November the 25th, Week 12, Monday Night Football. John Harbaugh versus Jim Harbaugh, 3 days before Thanksgiving. Chargers have a win now team. Ravens, went to the AFC Championship. They have a win now team. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is now a Baltimore Raven. I can't wait to see that physical showdown play out on Monday Night Football.
All right. So for me, ooh.
You gonna do your Raider games first, or you gonna do?
No, I'm gonna do the NFL first.
Okay.
Um, nah, I was gonna say Steelers at Broncos, but it might be just a really bad game. So I don't think I'm looking forward to it, despite it's Russell Wilson's first game back at Denver in week 2. I don't want to say that. I would say the Falcons at Minnesota because of Kirk Cousins coming back in week 14. It's one of those, and we're going to have a lot of we're going to have a lot of quarterback revenge games. I think that one with Kirk Cousins is going to be something. Hopefully both teams will be in the race there. In week 8, I know these two have been on Thursday Night Football, and it's been entertaining. Well, one was, one wasn't. But you get to see the top 2 picks square off with Caleb Williams facing Jalen Daniels if both are starting for each team. The Bears and Commanders in that case. The Horror Bowl between the Harbaugh brothers, the Baltimore Ravens at the Chargers in Southern California in Week 12. That's my third. My second one, I'm kind of intrigued for that Brazil game, Green Bay and Philadelphia being the first game.
Friday too.
Yeah, Friday. In Brazil, I think that's just going to be crazy to think of. There's other ones I could think of, or I could see here. You have. I think it'd be better if Diggs was at Buffalo with Houston, but they're going to be in Houston. So for me, I would say the number 1 most anticipated game for me is easy. In week 7, it's your 49ers against the Chiefs in Santa Clara. I'm going to definitely be watching that and see if the 49ers can get some revenge with that. For the Raiders, I would have to say, in no order particular, but since it's Jim Harbaugh's first game with the Chargers, week 1 in LA against the Raiders, I can't wait to see that. Hopefully I'll be at that game depending on, what I got going on. But I'm hoping to go to that game. Another one, surprising. No, I don't think it's a surprise, but It'd be against the Steelers. Remember last year, um, they won on Sunday Night Football late. I think it was in overtime, I want to say, or maybe it wasn't. I think it was in the fourth quarter. Anyway, Jimmy G threw that game, and luckily he's not there anymore. But I want some revenge at home against the Steelers. In Week 7, they go to LA again to face the LA Rams, and hopefully I'll be at that game too. So those are 3 games. I think it's a tie between both Chiefs games because they split last year, and they got embarrassed at home last year. Remember, I think it was week 16 or 17, whenever it was, but somehow beat them in Kansas City. Last year on Christmas. So I want that revenge game in week 8. So week 1, 6, 7, and 8 is what I'm looking forward to, and then probably well, of course, week 15, because it's on Monday Night Football. Hopefully, they'll keep it on there against the Falcons. But look at this, Isaiah. You mentioned the Saints, right?
Yes.
So, week 17, the Raiders go to New Orleans to face Derek Carr and the Saints. I'm going to be looking forward to that game, I think.
Yes.
Maybe not the most because I'll be at the LA games. And the other 2, are divisional rivals or whatever. But I'm just looking forward to Derek Carr. He'll maybe go crazy in that game. Maybe he'll have a breakout game, or Crosby will get after him. But Derek Carr is going to want some revenge in that football game. So I'll be looking forward to that one. I think the most out of anybody, just because it's the former quarterback who has all the Raider records. It's just amazing how that's going to end up. All right. So our last topic of the night was Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. The series was 2-1 in favor of the Stars, and they had a 2-0 lead. And it was sad because the Oilers had yet to register a shot, and it seemed like they would fade away in the midway of the first round, or first period, excuse me. And this series has always been crazy. Remember in Game 3, Edmonton blew a 2-0 lead and then fell 5-3. So they really lost home ice right there. But guess what? They had one good shift, and the Oilers pushed back here in Game 4. Matthias Janmark and Leon Drosickle scored 2 goals in 51 seconds in the second period, and then they went on to beat the Stars 5-2 tonight to even the series at 2-2. Now we're in a best of 3 in that Western Conference Finals, and it was just funny how Edmonton, they switched on momentums in this Game 3 and Game 4 in the home ice games so far in this series, where they came out firing in Game 3 and they came out with nothing in Game 4 and came back and won. Opposites attract there. Game 5, of course, will be Friday night in Dallas, and Stars coach Pt.2 was saying that he has to get home ice back. This isn't supposed to be easy. Edmonton also had Ryan McLeod, Evan Bouchard score, along with Matthias. They have 2 Matthiases. Elcombe also scored an empty net goal with 153. Connor McDavid added 2 assists, and Stuart Skinner had 20 saves. So, Isaiah, this was a total opposite from Game 3, how the Oilers went tonight. How did you see Game 4?
I thought that this was Connor McDavid's defining moment of his career thus far. He really put the team on his back after the Oilers were down 2-0. Like they were down 2-0, they were down 2-0 quick. I was texting with Ben back and forth about the game, and I told Ben that the Oilers are teetering on the brink of disaster. That the Oilers are looking down a barrel of a gun. I mean, they're about to be done. If you're going down 3-1 heading back to Dallas for game 5, like it's over. You might as well not even show up. But Connor McDavid, I was looking at Twitter. I was like, oh crap. Like you saw all those comments about him being a choker and this and that. He can't get it done in big moments. That was going to be the script if Connor McDavid and the Oilers had lost in game number 4. But they right away, I mean, they took control of it. They fought. McDavid put the team on his back. I mean, he had 3 assists that led to 3 crucial goals for the Edmonton Oilers. They were aggressive. Remember how one of those games that Edmonton did not have many shots on goals? I think I read somewhere that in the first period, in the first 7 minutes of the first period, Edmonton only had 2 shots on goals, and the Dallas Stars already had 2 goals. Like it was crazy how little shots on goals that they had, but they definitely turned it around. McDavid had 5 shots on goals. He had 3 assists. Evan Bouchard had 2 shots on goals. Leon Draisaitl, Charles Barkley's favorite player, scored a goal. He had 3 shots on goals. Ekholm, like you mentioned, he had a goal, 3 shots on goals, very aggressive. I want to talk about Zach Hyman. I mean, Zach Hyman didn't score a goal, but he had 5 shots on goals, continuously put pressure on the defense. He had a 1 assist, 1 point as well. So I thought for the Oilers, Connor McDavid was definitely one of the biggest stories of the game. He put his team on his back, was very aggressive playmaking, setting up his teammates, and then his teammates delivered. So, but for the Stars, definitely, I don't know what happened. I think that for Peter DeBoer, like he said, he wants to take back home ice. Well, you encountered a Edmonton Avalanche in this game. They just scored and they scored and scored again and scored quickly. So Sagan had 3 shots on goals. But other than that, I mean, their team, I know Wyatt Johnston scored 1. Lindell scored another. He had, like, both of those guys had a point, but you look at the assists from top to bottom. I mean, Jamie Benn had 2. Thomas Harley had 1. Miro Heiskanen had 1 assist, but that was about it. So just got to credit the aggressiveness of the Oilers, who after they were down 2-0, they finally woke up and they were like, yeah, we're not going to let our season end. So congratulations to the Oilers. They definitely responded, and now we'll see what happens the rest of the way, because now it's a best of 3. You got to win 2 out of the 3 games to win the series and go to the Stanley Cup final. But like we've been talking about all this time, this is Connor McDavid's defining moment of his career. He's got to finally break through and at least get to the Stanley Cup finals this year.
Yeah, it feels like for both teams, you have Dallas, who has been together for a while, their core. It feels like now or never. Edmonton, since they fired their head coach, it felt like they've been on a streak ever since, and they have all the scorers and the stars to do it. So look out for Game 5 on Friday. And I believe Game 5 tomorrow will be of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers. Isaiah, that series is tied at 2, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, we'll get to our final thoughts now. There is a clarification about our friend Jorge Lopez. Okay, so Anthony DiComo on X was saying, quote, regarding confusion over whether Lopez said he was on, quote, the worst team or was the worst teammate, unquote. I'm told Lopez later explained his comments as a combination of both. The worst teammate on the worst team. It still doesn't make it better. I don't care what clarification you have. And I love that the guy put on the glove of Jorge Lopez right away, and it's all over X, so you can find it there. I guess we need some clarification, but it doesn't mend anything. Yeah,
It means
other than
that.
that.
That's what it means. It means that picture on the screen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my final thought. Again, recipes of Bill Walton. Again, everything college basketball and Pac-12. He was it, and I will miss him dearly. What's your final thought, Isaiah?
Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts is first of all, condolences to the Walton family. Definitely a hard time, definitely a hard pill for us to swallow. I mean, it's still can't believe he's gone. It's been a couple of days since. I still can't believe it. It's definitely very crazy to think about. I know on more of either these shows or other networks, they'll probably be talking about it a lot more. So, it's feel free to give your Bill Walton stories. We'll read it live on the air, either tonight or on any other shows that we have on this network. But yeah, before getting my final thoughts, just want to thank Casey King. He came on earlier to give his thoughts on Bill Walton. We had Edward Lee as well, giving his thoughts on Bill Walton. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate the love and the support. But yeah, my final thoughts is, James, I was actually going through the NFL schedule, and I know we didn't really talk about a lot of the Christmas games and a lot of the Thanksgiving games. Apparently, there's 3 Christmas games this year, in addition to basketball. So, and we also, I think, Christmas Day or around that week, we have the college football playoffs starting. So that's going to be a jam-packed week in the world of sports. But yeah, I mean, looking at the Thanksgiving games, because I love Thanksgiving, love the food, love the festivities. Football's part of it. And you look at the game to start. Bears against the Lions. That should be an interesting game. Detroit just made it to the NFC Championship. They're not as bad as they were before, right? When we were thinking Thanksgiving, and the Lions, like we were like, oh crap, we have to watch the Lions and their crappiness again. Well, the Lions are actually good now, James. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, you have a Bears team that could potentially challenge for a playoff spot with Caleb Williams. So that should be an interesting game to start. And then you have Giants Cowboys. James, honestly, this year I'm going to look forward to every Cowboys game because if the Cowboys lose after every game, it's not just going to be Stephen A. his reaction to the Cowboys loss or Skip Bayless's reaction to the Cowboys loss. Literally on Twitter, it's going to be fire McCarthy, hire Belichick, fire McCarthy, hire
Bench
Belichick. Bill
Prescott.
Belichick. What's that?
Bench Prescott.
Bench Prescott, exactly. So it's literally gonna be those type of rumors. But you have Giants Cowboys on the afternoon game. We'll see about the Giants. I mean, that might be one of the suitors for Bill Belichick. We'll see. But the Cowboys against the Giants, not they should put that as the morning game, to be honest. And then they should put the morning game between the Bears and the Lions as the afternoon game. I mean, that'd be better. And then the night game, we've got the Dolphins and the Packers from Lambeau Field, 2 great dynamic offenses. Jordan Love versus Tua. That's a matchup I'm definitely going to look forward to because you could see like potentially you have 2 teams competing or contending for their respective division. So definitely looking forward to that. So the Thanksgiving slate this year is actually, crossing my fingers, hopefully no injuries. It's definitely going to be, very, very interesting. I can't wait to watch it. And then the last final thought I do have is, James, I want to get into the comment that Edward had, which is Angel Hernandez has retired. Let's go, man. I
Oh
think
yeah, I forgot all about that.
yeah, when everybody in the world of baseball heard about that, we all rejoiced because we're all like, all the crappy umpiring is now gone. Goodbye forever. Well, not forever, but Angel Hernandez was a disgrace. He was a travesty. He was awful as an umpire. And man, I remember like the greatest memory I have of Angel Hernandez was Phillies Brewers. I know where you're gonna. I think you know where I'm going to go with this one. Phillies versus Brewers. It was that Sunday night baseball game. It was a couple games before Joe Girardi, my favorite manager, got fired. And the Phillies really needed to win that game against the Brewers. 9th inning. Kyle Schwarber gets called. It was two pitches. One pitch was like way outside, another pitch that was like way low. And Schwarber, like after the Phillies and Brewers that game, had been just getting constantly screwed the entire game. Kyle Schwarber absolutely lost it. He threw his bat down. I remember he pointed like left, right, and like he was just so pissed. Like he got ejected after that. But that was like my my favorite memory of Angel Hernandez, and it was just like right there, that awful call where the pitch is hella in or hella low, and he calls it a strike, and then players just absolutely losing it. So yeah, Angel Hernandez, thank God you're retiring. Hope you enjoy retirement, enjoy Cancun, enjoy Cabos, whatever. But baseball won't miss you.
Yeah, I just could never like him after a while. Man, I can recall last decade or a little bit after before that too, when Joe West and Angel Hernandez was on the same umpiring crew, and how much of a disaster it was. It was
Joe West, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
when they were both together, it was the worst. I really mean that. We had so many ejections, so many just egos of umpires going crazy, and I that was just the years to forget. There's all these YouTube videos of all these ejections from years ago, and guess what? It's usually Angel Hernandez right in it, and but there's still bad ones out there, like Adrian Johnson.
Ron Copa.
Well, yeah, I was just about to say Ron Cova.
You remember him
Um,
with AJ Hinch and that
yeah, I
Angel
hate
with the
that
team?
one.
Yeah, where he was like, he mouthed it to AJ Hinch, I can do whatever the F I
hmm
want.
And
Oh
looking
my
over there, and then AJ's like, watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
That was one I really. I said, okay, Ron. Yeah, Ron's one of those bad guys, along with Angel, along with Joe. Alfonso Marquez was really bad at a certain point.
He was.
Las Diaz, he's just too fiery. He could be
He
a
argues
playful
with the bunch.
guy.
Yeah,
He could be a playful guy at certain times, but he could be really obnoxious.
right.
We shouldn't. The moral of the story is like we shouldn't know these people's names, but because they've been so bad at their job and so arrogant, like, hey, you need us more than we need you. We we can't stand them. And Angel's one of those guys, and he got paid off. It wasn't like he decided to leave. They forced him out and gave him, a pay to do that.
Right.
Because remember last year he was doing what, minor league, and then he was brought up to the NBA. I'm sorry, to the MLB, and he got a call wrong right away, and it was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
like he never left.
He sued him too. I think he sued
Yeah,
baseball.
discrimination for not being picked to the postseason one year, but he was doing such a bad job that he didn't deserve it, and he lost that in court, I believe. And I just, I these umpires need to get not criticized, but they need to get reprimanded when they do really bad jobs. And now we have a
Don't say
bunch
that
of
too
like,
loud, though. Someone would get mad at you for that.
yeah, some now have horrible strike zones, and it's it's profiled every damn day after games. How bad a zone was. I think this week, um, there was one that was really really bad, a zone, and it just reminded me of Angel Hernandez. And then somebody had a B reel, or excuse me, a reel of Angel Hernandez's like worst misses, right? And they were way out of the strike zone. Just arrogant how he told pitchers, hey, don't come to me, don't walk my way, don't look at me, don't talk to me. It's just the wrong way to be. I don't care if you're a professional and you have years with you. You're not supposed to be that way, and that always pissed me off about him. So I'm happy he's gone, but he's made them think. The new umpires, have probably learned from him to not take any bull and to be that arrogant. So that's why I'm so happy he's gone. But I'm hoping the influence does not go to him. Anyways, I'll let you end the show.
Yeah, well, the last thing I wanted to add before, because we're on the topic of umpiring, right? The last thing I do want to add before we do end the show is, James, I know you're an Angels fan, but Aaron Boone did not deserve to get ejected tonight. Like that's one of those.
Oh,
That's one of those. I watched that play. Like that's one of those things where it's kind of like in between, right? Because it's like infield fly rule was called. If you guys didn't see it, Aaron Boone got ejected, I believe, in the first inning where Tyler Anderson had the bases loaded. Juan Soto's at second. The Yankees guy pops it up towards second base. He's backpedaling. He backpedals right to where the base is, and he kind of like basically is blocking Juan Soto from getting to second. And Juan Soto, he has to get back to second because he doesn't want to, get the pop up or the guy catches it and then he gets called out because he's not there. So they both run into each other. Soto didn't mean to run into him or basically take him down and make him drop the ball. It's just one of those where it's like, what can he do? So that's why I don't think Boone deserved to get kicked out. I think that both sides do have a gripe, but in the end, I don't think he should have gotten kicked out for that. Like he does have
no, Isaiah, I totally disagree with you looking at the play. That's BS.
I just thought like what can he do? Like he's back. Both guys are back.
He can go around him. He can go around him. He deliberately went into Neto, who was in the air. That is a really, really dangerous play by Soto. And I hate Artie and the Angels organization right now.
No,
so I'm not a a homer or whatever. I'm not being biased. That is a really dangerous play Soto made. He's going back. He can walk back. He can go around Neto, and Neto goes into him. And then it looks like Soto stuck his leg out too.
I didn't see that angle. Are you looking at the angle from the Angels broadcast tonight?
Well, I'm looking at the Yankee one first. I
was watching the Yankee one, and it looked
like
I
have the Yankee one right now.
It looked like from what I saw that they just both ran into each other. One was just going back to second, and then Neto was obviously backing up, right?
That was not a good. Okay, let's see from the side angle.
Yeah,
that's Soto. He clearly saw Neto going for the ball and stuck his elbow out and leg out. I don't care if he's trying to get his foot back to the base. I don't care if he's trying to get his foot back to the base. That is a horrible, horrible play by Soto. You could get Neto easily hurt like that.
I gotta see that because the only angle that I saw was when the Yes Network put that one out where it was just the top view where you could see like, okay, Neto's backing up, ball's taking him to that area. Soto's trying to go back to the base. But here's the thing though, James, like the reason why when I first saw it, I was okay, yeah, I think like it's one of those rules where it's like, you can't really, you're lose because I thought, okay, if Soto goes to the other side to go back to the base, because some umpires are going to call that for out of the baseline. There's been umpires that have done that, so
but it wouldn't be that much out of it. And then the rule is you have to give the infielder a chance to catch it, though.
Even though if Soto didn't do it, fly rule was called though.
Yeah, because then it's interference. That's clearly the right call. But it's a dangerous play again by Soto. Like, I'm surprised Neto didn't get pissed off by that. But maybe, there's respect for Soto because he's been in the league, he's a champion or whatever. But that's just a bad play by Soto.
Well, give us your thoughts on that play, and then we'll definitely...
No, that was my thoughts. That's a bad play by Soto. I'm happy that it went the way it did. But also, I'm thankful that Neto, who just got back from injury last month, that he didn't get really hurt on that play. Literally, Soto stuck his leg out and Ebel out to stop Neto from catching that ball. That's a horrible Bush League move.
I do agree with you that he could have gotten hurt because from what I saw, like his back, like he fell backwards. He
Yeah,
could have easily hurt the neck and back area, and then once you hurt your back, you're like, yeah, you don't know what's what's gonna end up. You're not the same after that. So I do agree with you on that, but I do gotta see like that other angle because the one I saw was on the top and it wasn't as clear as the angles that you're looking at. But James, before we go, tell the viewers out there where can they find you and what other shows that you're doing this week.
all right, so find me at Halos in the Infield. We cover those Angels, those awful Angels. James Squared will be back on Thursday. Check it out on Believe Network for the podcast, for the audio part, and then the visual will be out on YouTube at Halos in the Infield. Check me out also on CTC Entertainment Network, Coast to Coast. And Friday will be entertainment hour. I'll see if I can make it though because of maybe a new work schedule. And then Sunday we'll have Batters Up with Crispy Bacon and I, and hopefully others. Where we recap the
On deck.
baseball weekend. On deck, excuse me. On Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. And I think that's it for now. I don't remember if I'm doing anything else, but I'm just thinking that tonight, that will be the last Inside the NBA for tonight, as Dallas will take it.
Oh yeah, and I mean they have next year too. Don't forget about that.
I
But
know.
there's also rumors that Chuck could leave once the deal is signed because I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
his opt out gets triggered. So yeah, a lot of uncertainty in what I think will be a big summer in the world of basketball, from media stuff to NBA free agency trades left and right, coaches getting moved. It should definitely be a very exciting summer. James, you also forgot one show, your favorite show, Sports Minute, as well. Uh, that
Oh,
is,
yeah, we didn't have that tonight.
yeah. There wasn't
Yeah,
Sports
for
Minute.
so many reasons, though.
Oh yeah, but also do want to give prayers out to a guy that's been on some of these shows on our network, Adam Barber. His family's going through some medical issues. Prayers go up to them. But guys, it's been a great show. Appreciate Ben for hopping on earlier. Appreciate James for hosting the show while I was dealing with a lot of technical difficulties. But yeah, it's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and condolences go out to the Walton family once again. Rest in peace to Bill Walton. You will be remembered forever. What a great spirit, what a great life that you lived, and your legacy will never, ever be forgotten. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. But I said, if you gave me Mahomes, if you gave me Lamar Jackson with his great legs and Mahomes' great arm, or you gave me Baker Mayfield, who would I want? I would want Baker Mayfield, and the reason why is because Baker Mayfield.
I really think that now this is the worst case scenario for the San Francisco 49ers, is that they're going to have to cut ties with Jimmy Garoppolo if I were them. What? Oh my God! Wow, man!
In any event, Kyle Gibson is definitely my NL Cy Young Award winner. Rock on, Gibby.
And even
Oh my! Oh!
no way! Oh my God!